Alright, I am recording now. So, yeah, no Stranger Paradise, I think, on this list. Oh, no, it's on there. I could rate it. Okay. Let's get started. Okay, let's get started. So now, for the sake of the recording, I have now played all the mainline Final Fantasies except for the MMOs, 11 and 14. 11's kind of hard to play now without jumping through hoops. And 14 I'll probably play with Kiwi at some point. Soon, maybe. So let's just start with I'm going to go in order, roughly, I think. So let's start with FF1. And, why does this exist? No, just kidding. FF1, especially for its time, I think it's solid. I think the Pixel Remaster, I still have a lot of fun with it, to be honest. I understand, like, it has, like, the grinding problems and stuff, but I think it's still fairly fun. I wouldn't put it in, like, awesome or great, because it's, like, not something I'd, like, replay a ton, but I think I had a good enough time. Of course, FF1 depends what version you're playing. The version I've played, both Pixel and PS1 Origins version, I think are solid. Because of memo saving, being able to kind of, like, get you past the needing to super hard grind a lot. Which leads us to FF2. Why does this exist? It's bad. It's arguably... A lot of people put it as the worst Final Fantasy, I think. And I would agree with that. One of the on paper sounds good combat system, not combat, but stat system, but in practice is terrible. The select cancel glitch that exists in the NES version and the PS1 version are kind of like a saving grace with it, I think, to help you not have a terrible time. Because there's just so many problems with it, like trying to level up magic when it's just, there's too much magic, trying to work with too much of it. The way the stats work are awful. The way on the PS version and the NES version, your stats can go down while others go up. They fixed that, I think, in Pixel Remaster, but... You know, it depends what version you're playing, but the versions I played that stood out to me was the PS1 version, and my time with it was awful. Pixel Remaster, I got by a little bit better with it, but... Still, I don't think a very strong game, I think. Abusing a glitch shouldn't be a lifesaver. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's one of the worst. 3, I think I'd put in not good. It was, for an NES game, strong, you know, for its time, once again, pretty strong. I played the NES version on emulator. I did not play the DS version, well, I did play Pixel Remaster eventually too. But even the NES version or Pixel Remaster, both, I didn't really like it much. It's very gimmicky with the way jobs work. You know, introduced job switching, you know, on the fly, and you have fights like the Garuda. Yeah, it's just, it's not great. I think it's pretty bad. FF7 has both remake and original on this. I'll rate both, because they're both, to me, different games, even though, you know, it's probably weird to include a remake, but, you know, it's... might as well. Moving on. We got FF4. FF4, I think, is, I would say, solid. It's tempted to put it in okay because, like, you know, it has questionable things about it, but I think it's solid enough. Like, it's pretty good, I think. Like, it has great music. Going from the first 3 Final Fantasies to 4 is a huge jump in story and characters. Big, you know, huge world. Much more interesting story for sure, helps a lot. I know I kind of like being repetitive on that, but is it better than FF1? Yeah. I haven't, this might change a little bit. If I feel like I got something wrong when I'm done, like getting towards the end, I might change it and reorder it. But yeah, FF4 better than 1, I would think. I would agree. They're both solid though. So yeah, 4 is pretty solid. Yeah. Next, FF5. Great. I think FF5, combat system-wise, is very strong. I think it struggles the most in the story, because outside of the side characters like Gilgamesh and whatnot, you know, Galuf, the main party's kind of eh. I think 4's main party was more interesting than 5's. Gilgamesh, I think, is more interesting than everybody else, though. And he's really funny. I think he definitely helped the game a lot. But yeah, the dual job system, where they took FF3's job switching system and decided to allow you to kind of create your own builds for each character are really fun. Especially endgame when you can do freelancer and merge all that hard work together. So yeah, FF5 I think is pretty solid. Good soundtrack again, has some really cool bangers. You know, obviously has Battle on the Big Bridge, one of Square's favorite songs apparently. Okay, so yeah, FF5 great, definitely above 4 and 1. FF6. So FF6 I've only played twice. Be tricky to place this one. I've only played twice. I played the PS1 port, which I should say for 4 and 5 I also played the PS1 ports. I played all those back in the day. When I was young, you know, before I got a PS2. So yeah, FF6. I think it's a solid game. I can't argue against that. I like FF5 more, but I think after playing Pixel Remaster, I would bump it up to great, but under 5. I think Pixel Remaster helps me like it a bit more. Like as a second playthrough, I think I liked it enough. Very solid soundtrack, obviously. Story, I'm not as big of a Kefka fan as a lot of other people. As a villain, he's a little too silly, but I can appreciate that he's literally like a clown, like an evil clown. It is kind of funny still. Just not really my thing. I've always liked the more serious villains, obviously. You know. So that's where I would put 6, right under 5. I would say it's like, and it stands the test of time pretty well too. I know FF6 is a lot of people's favorite as well, especially for 2D era. But 1 through 6. 6 wins a lot, I think, if people have polls. Moving on. What do we got? We got 7. 7 original. This is a tough one for me. It's I think I'm gonna have to put it in great above. I think it would be wrong to put it below 5. Because it still is fun. Has more, you know, interesting story, interesting characters. I have a hard time putting it in awesome category, though. And, you know, I'm not going to knock it for graphics, because obviously it didn't age well, but, you know, for its time. When I played it, it was still a little bit past its time, because I played it after I played 8 and 9. It was my 3rd Final Fantasy. So going backwards was a bit weird, but... okay, next. Oh, it has a good music, of course, so yeah. I think it awesome or great, nothing wrong there. I don't think it deserves to be lower than that for tier lists, but this is all me, of course. Alright, FF8. Right up to awesome. Might be a little biased because it's my first Final Fantasy, but as my first Final Fantasy, coming from like my only other RPGs back then when I was a kid being like Pokemon, it was such a huge jump in like quality of an RPG. I was super into it. I like Squall a lot and Laguna. I related as a young person. I related to Squall a lot, so I enjoyed the story. Laguna was awesome. The music in 8, I think, is still one of the best soundtracks in the franchise, and if not in video gaming in general. I have a lot of fun using limits in the game. Knowing how to break the game can allow you to create really fun, like, challenge playthroughs too, or just like restricted playthroughs that aren't too restricted. To have a lot of fun, because I love the interactive limits in this. This is like where they really started like allowing you to have some interactivity with your limit breaks before, like, 10 went a little more with it. So I like it a lot. It has the I think it has easy the best final dungeon in the franchise too. Like it disappoints me that most other final dungeons in Final Fantasy struggle to do what 8 did. I think they should just literally do the same thing again. Even if it's like, I don't care if it's the same thing again. I think it was that good that they need to start doing that again. Story, the villain I don't think is that great in 8. I can't defend the villain. She's just too uninvolved with the party, I think. That's why I like Sephiroth a lot better. He at least involves himself with the party. And that's probably why people could like Kefka a bit too, obviously. You know, those are, I think, what makes good villains. So yeah. Oh yeah, Man Machine. Yeah, great soundtrack. Yeah. Alright, so I'm enough gushing about 8. Let's put in 9. Right under 8 as an awesome. The first time I played 9 wasn't... I liked it, but I wasn't... It didn't. I wouldn't have thought it was like such a great game, but I think as I played it more, I started really liking it. Like, it has so much content. The music's good, story's entertaining. Characters, some of the character development in this game is like absolutely top tier, you know? Like Steiner, for example. Crazy top tier character development. Vivi, very likable. Akuja's a pretty good villain, I think. He's pretty good at what he does. He definitely fucks with the party a lot, you know, puts them on edge, all that stuff. Yeah. Limit system, trash, but like it was definitely a downgrade from FF8 in terms of the trance system, like limits. Ability system they made the games, I think, a little easier in terms of like the ability system. I think probably FF8's backlash of people not grasping the junction system probably made them dial it back a bit and go back to like FF7 level of simplicity and abilities and stuff. Yeah, Amaranth definitely, I don't think he could have been written out and it would have changed. Yeah, he's the weakest for sure. I agree. But yeah, once again, very top tier soundtrack too. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to 10. FF10. I'm gonna put into great, but let me see where I want to chuck this. I like 10. I think I'm gonna put it above 7. I think I'm gonna put 10 above 7. I clocked in more hours in 10 easy than 7, to be honest. These trio here, 8, 9, and 10 were my most 3 knowledgeable Final Fantasies growing up. I knew way too much about those games. FF10 is you know, like, for it, I got it roughly a little bit after it came out, I believe. And the cutscene, the level of the cutscenes and the voice acting and all that shit kind of blew me away for its time. Because, like, right now it's all memes and stuff, right? But, like, back then, this was the first Final Fantasy to have voice acting. And, like, voice acting in, you know, early PS2 days is quite awful historically for the most part. So all those funny YouTube videos of it. Of other games trying to have voice acting. So FF10 doing a decent job of it, you know, it was good shit. And it was interesting, they went back to turn-based. After 4 through 9 was not turn-based. So that was also interesting that they did that. But I think it worked out, you know. I don't think I prefer turn-based in Final Fantasy, because that's, I always, of course, like more action-y stuff, but I still liked the way they did it. And it has a ton of optional content. Monster hunting's a little excessive. I think the arena itself is more than enough. I think they shouldn't have made you catch 10 of every monster in every area. A little bit too much there, but yeah. 10 needs a cutscene skip. If it gets a cutscene skip, could bump it up to awesome, maybe. I don't know. Because it makes replaying hard when you have to watch the same cutscenes every single time. A little bit of a linear game for, you know, first PS2 Final Fantasy. They probably couldn't make it work in a more open area like 12 kind of did. I understand that, so, you know. I think 10's music wasn't as good as, like, you know, the PS1 era or even the SNES era. I think it lacked a little bit there. It had some good songs, though, for sure. But I think it was a little bit of a downgrade in music. Of course, different composer. You know, Uematsu did not do much for 10. Because he was kind of on his way out from the square there. So yeah, 10 I think is pretty great. So far, third best Final Fantasy to me. Yeah. Okay. 11 I didn't play, but... Where's 11? Plan to play. Maybe. Is Twitch fucking up? Well, I'm recording, fortunately, so if stream goes down, at least I can probably just chuck it on YouTube. Anyway, FF11 is kind of hard to play now. There's a method. Someone on Twitter posted a way to play it now. It's kind of convoluted, but I might try it. I've watched reviews of it, so it's like I know how it is, and I know it's like it was very problematic originally, and it got like a little better as it went, but it's still like a little bit of a problematic Final Fantasy. But it's also an MMO, so you know, I didn't get a chance to play it. We're back. Okay, cool. Local recording, but I'll, you know. Anyway, 12. That's this game. Am I gonna get the... Okay. That's tactics. Okay, where the fuck is 12? I'm blind. Oh, here we go. Okay, so they only have 12. We're gonna pretend it's the Zodiac Age version, even though it doesn't say it. 12. I struggle between throwing it in the first okay to solid. I think the story probably puts it in okay. If it had a better story, I think I would have put it to in upper solid, maybe. It's a little rough, because it's not probably great to have FF1 above 12, I think. The story drags it down so much, though. I'll revisit that if I want to, but I already, you know, I put a lot of my thoughts in there already in the stream, but I guess for the sake of recording, yeah, the story was rough. The gameplay was interesting. I thought the hunts were fun. Exploration was interestingly solid in this. Yeah, it's tough. I think I might end up moving FF1, I think, is what's going to happen here. We'll come back to that. 13, okay. FF13. I have videos on YouTube of 13. I played it a good amount when it came out. I actually went through the game twice, I think. I tried a third time, stopped. 13's okay. I think I'm gonna throw it in okay. I don't think it deserves to be not good. I've always had the same opinion of 13 forever, where, and I probably said this in my older videos too, with the 13 uploads. I was like, if you took Final Fantasy out of the title of 13, it probably would be better received as a game, because it's still high quality. It's just not. It just made some severe missteps, I think. You need to really love slow political dramas to like 12 stories. See, I don't even agree with that, though. I think it's just not good. Like, I don't think they did the political drama well either, but yeah. But either way, we'll move past 12. Anyway, yeah, 13, you know, it has the linear problem. It's a meme, you know, it's a hallway simulator. I get it. It opens up in one giant room later on that has a bunch of missions. The missions are just kill monsters. There's nothing interesting about them. And that's about it. Otherwise, it's a hallway simulator through and through, which I don't think inherently makes a game bad. You need to do it intelligently, I think. But 13 struggled, I think, in a couple different ways. It took too long for me to get 3 party members to have fun with the paradigm system. Once you get 3, it gets a little bit more fun, I think. You know, like the level up system's interestingly enough, it's like a, you know, another kind of, it's like a more linear sphere grid, I guess. Sort of setup. The music, once again, same composer from 10. It's like a little, it's ups and downs. Story, the villain was, I think, pretty terrible. Very uninteresting. I would say Sid was more interesting in that game than the actual villain. Lightning is a main character. She's coolish. Just a little bit cardboardy, I think. But she tries to come off cool, and it's like, alright, sure. I think 12's better than 13. Yeah. I think that's very fair to say. I think I'll leave that like that for now. Alright. So I haven't played 13, 2, or 3, so I haven't played the spin-off sequels yet. We'll get to that, so let me chuck those in the... I'm gonna play them eventually. I have to experience them. Kiwi already played through them all, and she very much did not like them.
They fucking suck.
Yeah, I watched her play a little bit of 13.2 and even Lightning Returns, and the frame rate in 13.2 is making me having aneurysm, I think. No 10.2 on the list. Is there no 10.2? Oh, 10.2. Oh, yeah, there is 10.2. I'll give me a sec on that. I skipped over that. Yeah. So I can't offer opinions on them, though, but that's the thing. People say 13.2 is a lot better than the original 13, but I didn't quite see it when I was watching, but it's like, I don't, I'll have to play it to find out. And Lightning Returns is a very different type of game as far as I can see, so, we'll see. I'll get to those eventually. Okay, fine, let's chuck 10.2 on here. Which means I probably should put the After Years on here, too, for FF4, but yeah. Alright, 10.2. I'm gonna say not good. I probably would put it above 3, though. Not good. A lot of people like the battle system for it. I think it's alright. 12 is a better version of 10.2's battle system. The story in 10.2 is atrocious. It's just, to me, it's just garbage. That I think it kind of ruins a lot of what made, I think, 10 good. Music was also way worse in 10.2 than 10, to me, anyway. What they did to Gagazet Mountain in 10.2 was, one of the most insulting musical missteps I've ever heard. But anyway, let's get away from that. The Driftsphere system is kind of nice, though, I guess. Like, being able to, it's still a job class system. It's an interesting way to learn abilities, It makes you want to do that, at least. Crisis Core's on here, too. Yeah, I'm getting through the list, and we'll probably just, I'll wing it from when we get to the end. Okay, so yeah, let's throw the After Years on here. Okay, I'll put it in okay. The After Years, I'll put it under 13, I guess. The thing about the After Years, so if you don't know what that is, it's the sequel to FF4. It is an actual sequel, Cecil has a kid, it's great. Nobody likes him. But anyway, the After Years is a little bit of a bad game until the final chapter, I think. The other chapters are basically you're replaying through all the dungeons that exist in the base game, just with, like, 1 or 2 characters. So it's a little bit rough. I like what they did with Golbez in it and whatnot. I don't know if anyone cares too much about the After Years spoilers, but there's a lot of cool stuff in there. But the final chapter is cool because you get to combine all your chapter progress because their chapters are different saves. You combine it into the final chapter, which you could start at any time. And the final chapter you basically do a couple things, and you go to the final dungeon. The final dungeon has an incredible amount of boss fights, and almost all the boss fights are previous Final Fantasy game bosses. Like floor 1, for example, has like 4 Final Fantasy 1 bosses. Floor 2 has 4 Final Fantasy 2, or I think it's like 2 and 2 actually. I don't think it's 4 each, but it's a lot. It's to the point where it's just like it's like a boss rush final dungeon, which I love that stuff if it's done well. That's one of the one of the reasons why I like 8's final dungeon. Having a final dungeon with a lot of bosses, pretty fun. Okay. So I think I could put it under 13. I don't think it's as well worth playing as 13. But I think I had more fun with it than, like 10.2 for sure. So I'd put it in okay. Anyway, yeah, it's not a short final story for sure. And of course it has a really good new not final boss theme, a regular boss theme against that chick, whatever the fuck her name was. Mysterious Girl or whatever. She has a name, but I can't remember. I think it started with an M. Anyway, so where did we leave off? So we're doing 13, 14. Okay, 14 I have to check. There's a bunch of 14s down that you can't see. I'm just gonna throw 14 as a whole into plan to play. Ignore the order of the plan to play, by the way. 14, I think, I've heard nothing but good things about it over the years. I heard it's like, it has its ups and downs, but I think as a whole it's done incredibly well. So we'll get to that. Let's see, what else we got here? We have the 12 DS Verb game I haven't played. 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, 15. Ooh boy. Man, I struggle with this one a lot. It's got to be one of these two, but what do I really feel about it? Let me just chuck it here for a sec. I don't have to keep holding down my mouse. FF15, I went in thinking it would be the best Final Fantasy because they hyped it up so much and made it look so good. I was so interested, and I played it on release, and it ran into often bugs, glitches, slow load times. It has so many problems, even though it has some good stuff to it. I did like that they tried to make it more action combat. You know, but they did a bad job of it because the way they handled the item system was like unforgivably terrible. Like zero thought, zero brain power into balance. You basically don't die in the game if you have items to fix it. You can't die. The game gives you the opportunity to fix anything. It went through a tough development, so I try to keep that in mind, but the end product still matters. And the only way you can have what feels like a regular experience is if you didn't play it on release, and you play the Royal Edition now that kind of has like the extra shit in it and some of the fixes. But I think the core mechanics are still problematic. The music is really good though. Yoko did the soundtrack and she fucking nailed it, I think. Like, I think it's one of those top tier Final Fantasy soundtracks. Like, if I was doing a musical Final Fantasy tier list, it would be up there and awesome with 8 and 9, easy. The story was a little bit not good. I think the bros were cool. They played off each other well. I think they had good dynamics. Outside of them and the villain Arden, I don't think I really cared too much about that world. It was kind of forgettable. Having to care about Luna at all was awful. We saw in the original version, you see almost nothing of her, and you're supposed to feel bad about, you know, stuff that happens later with her, and it's just like, it's terrible. Why do I like 8 so much? I already mentioned it. You'll probably have to watch the VOD. I don't want to bog this down with repeating stuff. So yeah, 15, I don't know if I want to... I would say I had more fun with 15 than 10-2, than... I don't know. I'm just... It has too many problems, I think. I gotta say not good, but top of not good. Yeah, that's the nice thing, is Arden was a decent villain, I think. That's the thing. It's like, there's still good things about the game, but it had a lot of problems. It had a lot of severe problems. Not a very cohesive battle system as a whole. It just had, you know. Unpatched Chapter 13. Yep, that was me. I got to sit through that. Yeah, so it was a rough time. If I ever replay Royal Edition, maybe I would bump it up to okay. Like, I could see it maybe rivaling like 12 or 13. I can't imagine it going higher than that. Alright, moving on. Let's see what else we got. I guess I should throw Tactics on here. I've played only Tactics. It's on the list. I'm just going to chuck it. I'm going to say solid. I would probably put it over 1. Tactics, I think, is pretty fun. I don't really play those kind of games very often. They're not usually my thing. For some reason, Tactics just kind of, like, resonates with me a little bit. I think it has, like, great music. It has, like, a pretty interesting story. Pretty hard fights. A little bit unforgivable if you're not careful. Lots of job class options. Interesting ways to, you know, build into other classes. I think it's pretty solid. I haven't played the other Tactics games. I don't think I'm going to. But, yeah, the original Tactics, I think, is pretty solid. If you're into Fire Emblems, I think you should try Tactics, if you haven't. Or Triangle Strategy, whichever. Anyway. FF16, okay. This is a tough one. God, I struggle with this one a lot. It's either going to be in solid or okay. Let's check it here for a sec. So, I have a whole review coming for this pretty soon. I'm almost done with it. It has a lot of ups and a lot of downs. I had relatively fun time with the combat, I think. I think it's still pretty solid. I think the DLC did make me, it did get me a little bit more hyped because it does a good job of making you have to actually be pretty decent at the battle system. Still not quite there, but I do like the full real-time action, I think. I think the story drags it down. It's a well-told story, but the story itself is not really anything amazing. It's a once again, well-told story. Amazingly told story. Like, the cutscenes are great. Voice acting great. You know, the scenes are great. But the story's just not that interesting. Aside from, like, a couple things. The music is, I think, not that great, minus like a handful of songs. I think they should have given you like more rewards for exploring. I think there was too much synth items that you would not recognize. Stuff like that. It's just, it drags you down a bit. I'm still not sure where I want to chuck it though. I think I'd put it above FF1 and probably Tactics 4. I don't know. It feels wrong to chuck it here, but I still had fun with it. But it definitely cannot jump into these next two categories. There's no way. Yeah. I think that's relatively fair. You guys will have to see my full thoughts when I release the review. Alright, Type 0, I haven't played that. I own it. I might play it eventually. Maybe I'll put in plan to play, I don't know. Yeah. Stranger of Paradise. Awesome. I don't think I would say it's better than 8 or 9, but I think I'd put it in top 3. I know it's not a man line, so this is a weird list, but for some reason they just chucked it in the group, so whatever. Stranger of Paradise, if you're into any kind of like fast-paced action combat, it's really fun. I think the reason I used to think it was like, oh, I like Soulsborne. I think it's because I like Sekiro as my favorite Soulsborne, and Stranger of Paradise is like a little bit of like Sekiro, because it's big on parries, and that's what you do a lot. If you, I mean, you can build with guards and stuff, but parrying is fun to do in that game. And it's like I have a lot of fun with it. I think it's like Final Fantasy Sekiro, I think. And I vibe with that. You know, the loot system is a little annoying. The DLC really makes you farm for loot, which is a little rough, but they made it easier with updates and stuff, so it's not too bad. But there's still fun fights. The Rift is fun until the final update where they made it limitless floors until 9999, which you realistically won't do unless you cheat. So that was a little stupid, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like Neo, exactly. Yeah, I haven't played those yet, but that's I understand what you're saying. Also has a good soundtrack, and the story is like a little bit weird, but I thought the twists in it were kind of fun. It's like a fun story. It's not one you're supposed to really take too seriously, but it's fun. I'll save 7R for last. All right, so what do we got? Crisis Core. Not good. I don't think it's that good. Liza P next Friday, maybe. I don't think it's that good. The reminder, this is the remake that just came out too. You thought we put it okay. I mean, it was okay for what it did, but it definitely gets a little spammy the way you play. It's like you can feel that it's a PSP game, and I think I said that a lot, I'm sure, during playing it. You could feel that it's a PSP game put on console. And I think it's like I could probably debate my own opinion of 10-2 versus Crisis Core, which is more fun. I don't think. It's okay, but not okay enough to put in okay, if that makes sense. It's like it's tolerable. But I don't think tolerable should be okay. Okay should be like fine, you know? Should be fine. I haven't played World of Final Fantasy, I think is what that is. I'll eventually I own that as well, and I haven't played it. Alright, last one of the list. 7R. It's weird to put a remake on here, but it would feel wrong, but 7R easily goes into my second favorite Final Fantasy. It's actually debatable, funny enough, between my favorite and second favorite. It's really hard. There's so much I like about 8 that I could have a blast, but 7R is also awesome. TO is Type 0. Yeah, I mean, if I could tie these, I would. It doesn't feel right to put one over the other for me. But 7R, I think, has an incredibly fun battle system. And even though it's not as full real-time action as 16 is, 7R managed to make it a little bit more fun, I think. Like, it feels like you have to put a little bit more thought into it, even if it's not, like, you don't have to have, like, good reactions in that game as opposed to 16, you know? And 7R, I think, has a more interesting story because 7's story is already more interesting, roughly, than 16's. And combine that with modern cutscenes, I think they're nailing it. 16, I think, probably, it did its cutscenes still, I think, I think its 16s are still really well told, though, when compared to 7R. But 7 gets to have the benefit of already having existed as a base game that you already are familiar with the characters and stuff, so they have a huge advantage there. 7R's soundtrack is probably the best gaming soundtrack I've ever heard. If I had Xeno 3 on this list, that'd be right behind it, because like 8, 7R, Xeno 3, Octopath 2, I could probably think of a fifth one, chuck that in there, I don't know, Kingdom Hearts 3, all the music, I don't know, something like that. Top 5 soundtracks for me. But yeah, 7R, I think, is an incredible remake, and I know some people are kind of ass mad that it's not an exact remake, but I'm down for it because I have a fun time not knowing exactly what's gonna happen. Yep, and 7R Rebirth is right around the corner. I'm not looking at any more info on it because I'm sick of being spoiled by the devs or the company that's releasing the game. Yeah, no, actually, I don't. KH2 soundtrack's good, but I actually think KH3 soundtrack is better. Weird take, right? But when you include the Remind music, I think it is above 2. Anyway, okay, so let's revisit 12 and 1 here. Huh. You know, I guess I will knock 1 under 12. Yeah. Let's put it here, between 13 and 12. Let's move it down a tier. I still think 1's fine, but yeah, it definitely is like a little. It's aged so terribly that it is a little rough to play it a lot. I could see myself. I think I would rather play 12 again right now than 1. Tactics I really need to replay at some point though. I played through it twice, but that's been like 20 years ago. FF1 demoted, yeah, I don't know. So in conclusion, my top 4 Final Fantasies, according to this list, is, 8, 7R, 9, Stranger Paradise. If we're not counting remakes or side games, yeah, it'd be 8, 9, 10, 7, and 5 as my top 5. That sounds pretty solid, I think, still. I think that's fully right. Stranger's Paradise, I know, it's like a little weird having it up there. I'll say Dessa. Yeah, Stranger Paradise is really fun. I think it's a welcome addition.
This list have after years on it?
Yeah. I wasn't gonna include side games, but then as I was going through the list, I kind of just started adding them because I'm like, because everyone's asking about them, and I'm like, you know what, I just chuck them out there. I think these are all the Final Fantasies I played, right? Is it missing any? I don't think so. Obviously, the plan to play is not guaranteed. Don't get too excited, but I do eventually want to do 13, 2, and 3, and then 14 we're probably just going to, Kiwi and I are going to do. And then 11, if I can make it work, I might fuck with it a little bit just to see how I feel. But it's a lot different now, kind of a game than it used to be. So it's kind of hard to judge that anyway. But I probably would still rank it pretty low. If I based on reviews, I think, and what it looks like it plays at, I would probably put it in not good category. Probably not in the FF2 tier. And yeah, this tier list proves to, well, it doesn't prove, but it shows that my least favorite Final Fantasy is still 2. I'm looking through all this. 3 is close, but 2 is like just a whole other tier of bad, I think. especially because I experienced it on PS1, which is like pretty roughly true to the original. If I can't imagine having played the original. 11 you can get set up in around an hour, and you can get an NPC party members these days. Yeah, it's still a process. All right, so should we wrap this up? I think so. Yeah, I think it looks pretty solid. Some of this is interchangeable, like on the same tiers. It's not, you know, like it's not like FF8 to Stranger Paradise is like a huge gap. It's pretty close, I think. Those 4, I think, are very... I hold them all in high regard, and 10 is, like, kind of right behind it, but 10, I think, over the years has kind of went down a bit, but I still put it at the top of great. And 7 is... I feel the same with original 7, and then 5, you know... 5, if it had a better story, I would probably push that into awesome, but I think that dragged it down. And 16, yeah, I wish I could put 16 in great, but it had too many problems. It has good stuff and problems, and 4 solid, yeah, okay. Alright, so let's stop the recording, and that's my current opinion of Final Fantasy, and it definitely may change, but for now I feel content with this.